Squid Game is one of the biggest shows, and it's full of crazy scenes and theories, so it's only natural that fans have been scouring the web for any information they can get their hands on. In this video, we'll go through the Squid Game Iceberg and explain it, all the way from the real-life island location and Season 3 theories to the horrific inspiration of the series. Let's get right into it. The games. The deadly challenges in Squid Game aren't just random selections. Each game taps into childhood nostalgia while testing different survival skills. Red light, green light examines patience, the honeycomb challenge tests precision, tug-of-war rewards, mixing strategy with strength, marbles demand manipulation, the glass bridge requires luck, and the final Squid Game combines all these elements in a brutal showdown for the ultimate prize. And Junho was a gambler. Before entering the games, Junho was drowning in debt from his gambling addiction. His compulsive betting destroyed his marriage, strained his relationship with his daughter, and led him to steal from his elderly mother. This background makes his hesitation to use the prize money very ironic. Even when given the ultimate prize, G-Money struggles. The guards. The pink-suited guards maintain the game's brutal order while facing death themselves if they break rules. Their triangle, circle, and square masks represent a chaotic hierarchy, going from nobody to high-tier manager. All of them will be killed if they make a mistake, however, so it's the worst job on Earth. Squid Game based off real events, so this one's a double-sided coin. Although Squid Game does parallel a real-life event, which we'll look at later, many viewers believe that the show's concept is based on an identical death game, with images leaking online about creepy colored stairs and rooms. Thankfully, these are fake and AI-generated, though. There may indeed be ugly cases in real life, but there were never real-life Squid Games held anywhere on Earth. The contract. The contract required for players to start competing in the games are for more than just consent. It also shows how desperation forces the economically disadvantaged into exploitative agreements. Some viewers note the contract probably contains hidden clauses allowing organ harvesting and cruelty, explaining why eliminated players' bodies are carefully preserved in coffins before cremation. The players technically agreed to everything, showcasing capitalism's darkest side. Squid Game was being planned for over a decade. Squid Game's first season had huge attention to detail, from the multi-layered character designs to the accuracy in certain cultural references. This is a byproduct of the fact that over 10 years of work went into its writing, with the creator and director making changes to the script between his other projects. The Roblox games. Squid Game's popularity exploded so widely that it reached other platforms, including Roblox, where many user-created games let players experience the deadly challenges in a safer way. These adaptations range from faithful recreations to creative alternative twists, sometimes introducing new games. While simple, these virtual playgrounds allow fans to test strategies and experience the show's tension without being in any actual danger, becoming a cultural hit among younger audiences. Season 3 predictions. There are countless theories for Season 3, many of which we've covered on this channel. Fans anticipate the season will focus on the frontman's backstory and build up his character to betray the organization after his brother discovers the island and meets him a second time. Some crazy theories even state that Junho will be forced to play human chess or even be executed in cold blood. Clause 3. Clause 3 is the clause in the game's contract which states that if the majority of players agree to quit the games, they must be immediately brought to an end. This clause is the heart of many disputes in the series, with a lot of players wishing to continue the games rather than leave the prize money behind. Each player's backstory. Every contestant enters the games driven by financial desperation. From Sang-woo's investment failures to Ali's workplace exploitation and Se-byuk's need to rescue her family from North Korea, each backstory highlights different facets of economic inequality. These varied stories explain their different approaches to the games. Some rely on brains, others on strength, and some on manipulation, creating the show's complex scenes. Squid Game was going to be a movie. The show's creator originally conceived Squid Game as a feature film in 2009, but studios rejected it as too violent and implausible to take place. The decade-long delay until Netflix's 2021 release allowed the story to become more relevant as global wealth inequality worsened. This transformation to a series expanded the scope, giving more time to develop characters and explore themes that would have been rushed in film format. Junho was not supposed to be a character. Detective Junho, brother of the frontman, wasn't part of the original screenplay, but was added to give viewers a stand-in to explore the game's inner workings. His investigation provides exposition about the organization's structure and history to keep viewers hooked on the story. The shocking revelation that the frontman is his brother Junho creates one of the show's most shocking subplots, showing that family bonds are another casualty of the system that created the games. The English dub. The English dub has faced criticism for losing nuance from the original Korean dialogue. Key cultural references and wordplay get simplified, while voice performances sometimes miss emotional subtleties or are way too intense. However, it introduced the series to viewers who might otherwise avoid subtitled content, so there's always a silver lining. The VIPs. The gold-masked VIPs represent the show's most on-the-nose critique of wealth inequality. These rich VIPs treat human suffering as entertainment, betting on players like racehorses. Their animal masks symbolize predatory nature, while their accents suggest backing from many nationalities. Their luxurious party they partake in contrasts sharply with the players' desperate struggles, highlighting how the wealthy remain disconnected from the consequences of systems they benefit from and exploit. Season 3 predictions. Some fans have been predicting the games for Season 3, specifically that there will be some kind of railroad game or Korean version of London Bridge, as well as a horrifying life-or-death match of monkey bars and even human chess. Ali's fingers. Ali has 2 missing fingers on his left hand due to an incident at work, which gave him a disadvantage in games like Tug of War. 212's kid. Player 212 claims early on in the show to have a child she hasn't yet given birth to or named. Now, some people speculate that this was all legit, and a poor unborn kid could have died in Season 1, but the most likely case is that this was a lie. We all know that 212 was an opportunistic con woman, so it'd be fitting for her to lie for some sympathy. Jack and Jill. Some viewers believe Jack and Jill might appear as a future game, fitting the childhood theme while offering deadly potential, forcing players to climb and descend a treacherous hill structure without spilling water. Creator Hwang has hinted that future seasons might introduce new games from Korean childhood traditions, unfamiliar to international audiences. So most people think this idea isn't possible, but it's still a common theory. The games were always revealed. Observant fans noticed the dormitory walls contained illustrations of all upcoming games, hiding the challenges in plain sight. This detail suggests the organization values spectacle over secrecy, believing that desperation will push players forward regardless of knowing what's ahead. It also implies a twisted fairness, since technically players had access to information that could have helped them prepare, but nobody figured it out. Fly Me to the Moon. A cover of the famous song Fly Me to the Moon playing during Season 1's slaughter in Red Light, Green Light was a decision taken by the director to show how the mass killings is so casual and accepted by the frontman, who listens to the song while watching the bloodbath. It also plays in Season 2, in a Thanos-inspired remix. Some players survived. A popular theory claims some eliminated players secretly survived. Supporters point to questionable death scenes, especially player 246, who seems to have been shot in a non-fatal area. The phone number rating. In a crazy production oversight, the show initially displayed a real phone number on the recruitment cards, leading to thousands of calls to an unsuspecting South Korean citizen. Netflix later edited the number, but not before causing significant disruption. It was a real mess for them to clean up. Hard to believe nobody noticed earlier. Doll in Philippines. Netflix placed a giant 10-foot replica of the killer doll from Red Light, Green Light at Manila's Robinson's Galleria Ortigas Mall in the Philippines. This awesome installation monitors jaywalkers, its eyes glowing red when someone crosses against the light. Locals joke about being shot if they move, a funny nod to the show and a cool marketing stunt. Brothers Home. The Brothers Home scandal is an eerily real-life version of Squid Game's premise. The South Korean welfare facility of the 1980s forced homeless and disabled people into blue tracksuits, assigned them numbers instead of names, and subjected them to brutal forced labor. Guards wielding clubs killed over 500 people through beatings or neglect. The government-sanctioned facility aimed to clean the streets before the Olympics, selling victims' body parts on the black market, proving reality can be more horrifying than fiction. 120 controversy. Although player 120, Cho Hyun-ju, has been loved by many fans, some were upset about the fact that they aren't portrayed by a trans actor. The creator of the show explained this is due to a shortage of authentic trans talent in South Korea, but this still rubs some people the wrong way. Every frontman was a winner. The revelation that the frontman was a previous winner hints at a disturbing possibility. Maybe all winners, if they're suited for the role, eventually become staff or administrators trapped in a different kind of game entirely. This would explain why winners receive such astronomical sums they're being paid for a lifetime of service. This would also explain why the front daddy in Season 2 watches Gi-hun so closely. Maybe at first he didn't have what it takes to be the frontman, but now he does. Player 100 was a former VIP. Some theories suggest Player 100 is actually a former VIP who lost his fortune and was forced to participate. Supporters point to his occasional background shots showing a player with unusually refined mannerisms. Some even say he could be the offspring of Oh Il-nam who squandered his wealth. If true, this would demonstrate the organization's ultimate message. Anyone can fall from wealth to desperation when the system turns against them. The first game was in 1988. Thanks to the documents we saw on the Squid Game Island, we know the first game took place in 1988 and ran annually after that, meaning that over 15,000 people have fallen victim to the game's actual island location. Some fans believe they located the real-life location of the Squid Game Island, Seongbong-ri. This gained so much popularity that groups of fans jokingly pinned the location as a business on Google Maps and rated it a 4.5 out of 5 stars for accommodation. Not bad for a murder island. No Hyun-woo, player 174, was the winner of the first ever Squid Game competition to be held in 1988. It's speculated, since we have such little information, that he could have become the first frontman, creating the deadly legacy which we witness in Seasons 1 and 2. The salesman backstory. In Season 2, we got a glimpse at the backstory of the deadly salesman, the man that recruits people into the deadly games and preys on their debt. He dogmatically follows the rules of the organization, fearing the things they do if he ever broke them, even to the extent of killing his own father once he lost a gambling game. The fight. The nighttime fight at the dorm marks a major turning point where players recognize their true opponents aren't the games, but each other. This scene reveals how quickly social order collapses under pressure, with alliances forming based on strength rather than principle, like the game's organizers intended. It highlights their psychological insight, since they don't need to eliminate all players directly, when scarcity and fear will turn humans against each other naturally. The 14 players who did not return were killed. Some fans believe that the 14 players who voted to end the games, but didn't return for the second round, were likely eliminated by the organization in Season 1. This theory suggests no one truly escapes once selected, maintaining the operation's secrecy. This is hinted at by the fact that the front daddy tells his staff to keep an eye on the people who left, so either they were killed when convenient, or silenced if they tried to tell someone about the games. Never trust 001. Oh Il-nam's revelation as the game's creator changes the context behind every interaction, especially his apparent kindness toward Gi-hun. Then imagine G-Money's shock when he learns that 2024's player 001 is also part of the game's staff, another traitor from within. He really should have learned his lesson from the first time. Player 001 is never to be trusted. The psychology. The games employ deep and multi-layered psychological manipulation beyond just the physical challenges. The color-coded uniforms and numbers strip individuality, voting systems create false agency, and prize money displays in the dorm increase the competitive spirit even to the point of murder. The dormitory's open design forces constant social analysis and paranoia, while irregular meal times and sleep disruption prevent rational and clear thinking. These elements reflect real psychological experiments on authority and stress, suggesting the games study human behavior as much as they entertain their rich VIPs. There is no winner. The show's ultimate message might be that nobody really wins in this system. Even Junho, the technical victor of the 33rd games, emerges traumatized and morally compromised, not feeling like he actually won anything. His massive pool of prize money remains untouched for ages because he recognizes that it's tainted by others' deaths. Meanwhile, the organization continues recruiting new players, showing there's an endless cycle where individual victories don't challenge or impact the underlying structure of society. True winning would require dismantling the entire game, exactly what Junho seems determined to attempt, but the task seems impossible now that he's been captured. We are the VIPs. The show's meta-commentary hints many times that the viewers at home themselves are complicit as VIPs, watching suffering for entertainment. Our fascination with the deadly games mirrors the gold-masked rich men's detached enjoyment. By making the spectacle entertaining while criticizing its morality, Squid Game forces uncomfortable reflection from our part on how real-world inequality becomes normalized through media consumption. Our binge-watching habits uncomfortably parallel the very system the show critiques. So that's been a full breakdown of the Squid Game Iceberg. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like. And if you want to see more Squid Game content and theories, click the video on screen now.